Hello, coaches. Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better Spotlight. My name is Kim Cafino, and I'm here to help you coach better. After decades as a teacher and coach in international schools, I founded my company, Eduro Learning, to help you embrace your inner leader and make a bigger impact in your school setting as a teacher, a coach, or a leader. I work with clients throughout the world in our certificate programs and private mentoring packages. And today's episode features 4 awesome graduates from a custom cohort of the Coach Certificate and Mentorship Program. If you have a topic you'd like us to talk about or a guest you'd like to see on the podcast, please leave a comment below, join our Coach Better Facebook group, or find us on social media at Eduro Learning. Today, I'm chatting with 4 of our amazing The Coach graduates, Sandra Chow, Eric Johnston, Penny Ma, and Tina Peggy, from our custom cohort with Keystone Academy in Beijing. Did you know that we will design a custom cohort of The Coach for your coaching team? That means you can have a private cohort of The Coach on your timeline with just your coaching team, or maybe a regional team of coaches from your city, customized just for you. We offer this option for teams of 9 or more. If you're interested in hearing more about this, please head over to edurolearning.com/discover to book a free discovery call today. In today's episode, we're taking a deep dive into the experience of the innovation team at Keystone Academy in Beijing, right after they finished their custom cohort. You'll hear how the school began to develop their coaching program, the impact of having an entire cohort of coaches participate in the coach together, and the next steps for each individual team member and the school as a whole. Designing a coaching program is no easy task, but you don't have to go it alone. You can get the support you need inside the Coach Certificate and Mentorship Program, or have us create a custom cohort just for your school. In today's conversation, you'll hear a lot about the learning that happens within the Coach Certificate and Mentorship Program. Wherever you are in building a coaching culture in your school, the coach will give you the strategies, skills, and tools you need to make coaching a success, whether you're on your own in the cohort or you're joining with a team. This academic year-long online course and mentorship program will empower you to confidently apply instructional coaching strategies in any situation, from building a coaching program to having coaching conversations to being a leader in your school community. If you're watching this episode when it airs, we just closed registration for our 7th global cohort, which begins in January. If you're curious and you want to join us next time around, get all the details at edurolearning.com/coach today. So thinking about, Sandra, a little bit from your kind of whole school perspective, knowing that you have been through this program, you determined that you needed to do something, you decided to do it, you did it, and now you're kind of at the other end of it where you're feeling like as a team, you have a more common definition of what coaching is. What recommendations do you have for other schools that are kind of in the same place that you were at the beginning of this academic year now, that they're looking to build their coaching program, they're looking to build an understanding of coaching, they're looking to kind of get some cohesiveness on their team and maximize and leverage the work that their team can do? What recommendations do you have for schools that are kind of in that place?
I think definitely have a plan in mind. It was really great that I had to put together a plan and pitch it to the leadership team in order to have our whole team go through this program. And in doing so, it helped me to wrap my mind around where are our bigger goals for our team. So then when I met with you, Kim, I could talk to you and kind of hash out some ideas. So I think definitely make sure you have a plan in mind and a direction. I wouldn't say a final goal, but more a direction of where you want to go. And then add in flexibility. So I think we all started the program and I had some idea of where we'd like to go, but we still have to adjust because school starts. We weren't really sure what the program was like and how much time it would take, and what priorities would take place. And we had new staff. Penny and Tina were new, and Tina's been remote. So she's been all-star remote coach. I don't know how she did it all year. It's, and yet like they were able to gel. Like I could say that, Penny and Eric and Tina are a really tight team and can rely on each other. And that's amazing that they were able to do that. I think definitely make sure you have some flexibility so that you can adjust and do different, be able to, sorry, I'm like, my mind is all over the place.
It's okay. I'll edit out that part. And if you just start with saying have some flexibility, then I'll bring you back in.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, definitely have some flexibility so that you won't feel frustrated about where you want to go. And then that way you also have a direction in terms of, okay, well, we pivoted, we changed a little bit our plans, and that's okay. This is where our goal is for this year, and then we can adjust again. I think the other piece that I would recommend, we did a lot of our work more individually, I think, in this program, where we kind of worked on the program and we talked a little bit with each other, but I think it would have been much more powerful if we had more time with you as the glue. It's nice to have an external party to bounce ideas off of. And so having you work with maybe Tina and Penny, or you working with Eric and Jordan, where they have some conversations about the program or about the course, and could really digest it in a different way and in an external party. Whereas I think when I lead it, or if they are left to lead themselves, when you get sidetracked into the minutia of regular school day, and then deviate from, really reflecting on the course and how that melds in with your day to day. So that would be my recommendation, is actually build in some cohort time where with you as an external party to discuss some of these things.
Yeah, that was a good learning for me too. Sorry, I'll call on you in just a sec, Eric. I'll pass the mic to you in just a sec, Eric. That was such a good, I'm glad that you mentioned that, Sandra, because that was my big reflection after the cohort as well. Is if I'm going to do custom cohorts for schools, that team part, when we initially started this, that was an extra thing, optional. And next time it needs to be, maybe not for your group because you've already done it, but for the next cohort, it needs to be a requirement, because I think there is power in the individual mentoring conversations, but there's also a lot of value in, just like you say, Tina, that just like you say, Sandra, the team talking to each other with the external person. I'm pretty sure that's where Eric was going as well. So Eric, please take it away.
Exactly where I was going. Yeah, I think we Tina and Penny and I had some awesome meetings, and I think we really got into a lot of sharing of ideas and specific situations. But Sandra's right; it's very easy to get caught up in the details of those things, and much more important to really step back and think bigger picture, like how could we have done this differently or better. So I just wanted to reinforce that. I think that's absolutely correct, and I think it's important to have it be somebody that's outside, so it doesn't feel like it's an evaluation thing or somebody that's supervising you. I think it's really important to have that open conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I want to ask each of you what of an example or an experience of how you applied your learning during the cohort. Like, what's something you did, what's something you achieved? Can be anything, big or small, but something that you took away from the learning experience and you actually applied in your job. And I can see that Penny is thinking, so I'm going to call on Tina because I see her on my screen. She seems raring to go.
All right. So I felt like one of the most powerful is being able to focus on what's in my control. because I tend to really push things together, like these are the things that I thought would be good, and so I'm just gonna go to this person and tell him or her about my ideas, and we're going to be working collaboratively together, and it's beautiful and it's amazing. And then I'm ending up with like, oh, she doesn't have the time or he doesn't have the time, and I'm like, what am I going to do? So it's like at the very beginning, that those were my frustrations. I'm like, well, I wish that I can work with this person or that person, and so on and so forth. And so sometimes I tend to miss out on people who are keen to do stuff together with me. And because my mind is so focused on all the things that I would like to accomplish, which was completely beyond my control. And I should be able to just focus on, these are the things that matters. This should be my priority. And these are the people who are interested to work now, and this is what should happen and not what's my agenda. Because for coaching to be able to work really well, there should be a common goal between me and the other person. It's not like I can force what I would like. Or what the other thing that works would be having the conversation ahead of time, just like what you're doing with us, where you've got the questions ahead of time, and then the other person will be able to think, oh, okay, these are the things that I found we can talk together today, and this is gonna work. Instead of just like an ambush interview where I'm just gonna come up and say, oh, hey, can we talk and have a conversation about this or that? So I think the key is to be able to have that first discussion points, and then be able to focus on what's within my control, and be able to really think of the other side, and not just about what I'm thinking, like really collecting the thoughts of other people and just really listen. So I think one of the key points is to really be able to listen to others. So yeah, that's really powerful for me.
Awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate that point about listening to what other people need and focusing in on what's really in your control, because I think sometimes when we're in coaching positions, we can really see the big picture and we have this vision of what we want to accomplish. But in actuality, accomplishing that vision involves, 10 other people and not just one individual. So focusing in on what's in your actual control and what matters to the people you're working with, it helps make coaching feel less overwhelming. So I really appreciate that perspective. Penny, can I ask you an example of something that you felt like you were able to apply in this cohort, something you learned and you did and you feel good about?
Sure. I think I can keep adding on to what Tina said. I really agree with that, because sometimes I feel like this might be good. This resource, this module, this course, this practice might be good for my coachee. Okay, let's do this. And then I send to her, I share with her, and then it turns out probably she doesn't have time for this unit, or she would tell me something like, let's hold it for next year. But it's a really good idea. I appreciate it. So I feel like I don't get bummed, but I just feel like, what, if I can look at the curriculum, look at the spoken fluency more thoroughly, then I can always share this resource on the right time, the right place, and then students and teachers can use it, and then they can get the feedback right away. So I think I just need more accurate planning with my coachee. That would make coaching, all this kind of collaboration, more effective and more empowering her learning and teaching. Another thing I would like to share from the coaching course, in my real coaching like a job, the big success, I would say, I learned a lot from the listening skill. And then, because normally I can't wait to cut people out. I hate that, but I can't help. And then I hear people talk to me something let me finish this, or every time when people say that, it's kind of a reminder for myself. It's like, I learned to be patient. So I practice a lot. I think I also changed my mind towards working with people or even with my friends in my life. I think what I did most successful thing with Yuying, my coachee, is I didn't speak that much after second semester, after visiting her classroom observation. And one day, finally, she said, did you realize I speak too much when I teach? I didn't give any chance for my students to talk. I was like, uh-huh. And then she said, I also feel like I did too much marking in the, during the class. I really hate that. I feel like I'm dominating the classroom. I was like, wow, this is really exciting because you realize this instead of me telling you. And then say, yeah, I think I feel the same. Sometimes I can help noticing that you really talk a little much than you're supposed to, because you were supposed to give students more opportunity, let them to share their working process, how they solve the problem using their way to explain their thinking. Then we use that as a really good starting point and building on how can we build out the math language in the classroom? How can we modelize the sentence stems when they explain their math thinking process? I think that's really pays off, because I didn't expect that she would say that. But I think this really pays off because when I say my mouse and then she said something instead of me telling her. And it really takes time, because I think a lot of my friends and my colleagues said, you think too fast and then you didn't think that well and then you speak it up. And then it kind of like not hurting, but it definitely ruined this kind of conversation, because people probably may have a good idea and then you just cut them out and then probably make them feel like, maybe my idea is not that good as Penny's and maybe let her finish. Then so I think I just need more practice and patience with people in my life, in my job, let them finish the conversation first. And then we can always chime in when time is ready. I think the listening skill, what I learned from this kind of deep listening skill from the coaching course really helps me. I'm still learning. I still making mistake, I think. But I think this kind of like a mindset practice would definitely be good for in the long run. Yeah.
That resonates with me big time, because I also am like a fast thinker and fast talker, and I always have ideas and I have to just keep my mouth shut and just listen. And I really appreciate your reflection point of when the coachee makes the reflection of the same thing that you noticed, but you didn't say anything. They actually make the reflection. That's so much more meaningful for the coachee. It's so much more like, even if it's something they want to change, it's more empowering because they recognize it for themselves. And you're just there to support them and recognize, okay, this is your goal. You noticed you want to change this. How can I help you make that happen? And I think that deep listening is exactly what does that. So beautiful. Thank you for that. Eric, I had a feeling you wanted to say something before I called on.
There you go. I was just going to build on what you just said, Kim, because it brings me back to a circumstance earlier in the course where you and I were talking about a situation I was having with a teacher, and the needing to call attention and redirect this teacher in the middle of things, but having already had the conversation, they knew what they needed to do, and your prompt was, why not just try and point to it, or you make a gesture or something very subtle that will just remind them of what they need to do. And that just opened a door to me and reminded me that that's really something that's a very powerful way of helping without having to take the floor. So
it's hard, isn't it? Like when you're used to being in control of things, to let somebody else do something and watch, like it may not work exactly the way you want it to. And so how do you kind of in the moment, like coach in the moment and guide them to what you know they're capable of doing, what you know they want to do, but without like you taking over? Oh, that is like, it's real balance.
Absolutely. And it's wonderful when they come up with these things themselves. And I think the time for those conversations to unpack the discussions or unpack what happened and really have that follow-up discussion, that debrief, is really critical. And I think that's something that, because our teachers are so busy, because we're so busy, it's really hard to find the time to make that happen. But I think that's a really important part of the course and the job.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Sandra, is there anything that you wanted to share in terms of something that you applied, something you did in action, something that was a real concrete takeaway for you in the course?
Funnily enough, I don't enjoy making movies or videos, but the final project actually was a really good exercise of reflection, I think, for me, and to be able to kind of reflect back from the beginning. And so my final project was just what was our coaching journey as a school and moving towards a coaching culture. So since that was my goal for our team, then being able to reflect back on where were we, what were some of the things that we did, and where are we now, and what else do we have to do next was a really good exercise. And so I thought that was a really good takeaway, because now I feel comfortable with our next year's direction, not destination, but just where we're headed. And it was affirming also to be able to interview all the coaches, also to interview some of the coachees and the leaders to also get their insight from that. So I thought that was a really great takeaway for me.
I love that. I know making a movie sometimes stinks, and I understand because it takes a long time, but I love the fact that almost everyone, when they do that final project, they say, I can't believe how far we've come. Like, just taking the time to look back and see, in one academic year, this is where I started. As a whole team, we all had a completely different understanding of coaching. And now here we are, and listen to the coachees are able to articulate the coaches and the school leaders. And we can see the next steps like that. And Eric, you mentioned it too, that point of stop and reflecting and seeing where you are in your journey is so valuable. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you are ready to develop your coaching practice over the next academic year, please join us for the next cohort of The Coach. You'll learn everything you need to be successful as a K-12 instructional coach with an entire academic year of curated coaching content, plus the support of a mentor to adapt your learning to exactly your needs and experience level for the entire program. Plus, inside our private community, you'll also learn with a global cohort of coaches from schools around the world, so you can see how coaching really works in practice and build your network of coaches. Our global cohorts open only once a year, so get all the details for our next cohort at edurolearning.com/coach. And if you have a team of 9 or more coaches from your school or a group of coaches in your city or region, we can design a custom cohort of the coach for you, just like we did for the Keystone Academy coaches in Beijing. This means you can have a private cohort of the coach to start and end on your timeline. You don't have to wait for the global cohort to start. You can set the schedule that works just right for you and your community. If your school has a full team of 9 or more coaches, or you want to create a custom cohort for several schools in your region, we can customize a cohort for you. If you're interested in hearing more, please head over to edurolearning.com/discover to book a free discovery call today. At Eduro Learning, teachers become leaders. Whatever your role in schools, you are so much more than just a teacher. As an educator, you have built an amazing skill set that goes far beyond the classroom, and you deserve professional learning that does more than just tick a box. It's time to end the cycle of one-size-fits-all, barely there, minimum PD, and get professional learning that's customized just for you. Join us for the next cohort of The Coach and see how our community-driven, personalized certificate programs will help you build the confidence to embrace your inner leader and make a bigger impact in your school setting. You deserve to be at the heart of your professional learning experiences. Find out more at edurolearning.com. And join our Coach Better Facebook group and connect with us on social media at Eduro Learning for more great resources for instructional coaches. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.